My name's Olson, and today I'll be working with Jessica and Patricia, and we will be working on watercolor techniques and using the techniques to make a personal mandala. I would like you to write the word intent. Why did you want to come and paint today? And I don't have to read this, and I won't give you much time to do it, but just take a minute to think about it, why you're here, what you wanted. My intent is to teach you some techniques and help you do a mandala. It's a circular form that's been used all over the world. Symbolically means unity or wholeness or completeness. And when you're doing it, what we will be doing is a personal mandala. So the idea is to get inside yourself to what's important to you at this moment. That's how we're going to use it. And I'll be giving you techniques on how to do that. Now, I've got materials laid out for you, and I want to just go over it a minute. This is the tri-cup water dish. You face it so that it is toward you on a vertical way this way. So you will dip into, first of all, the first cup, wipe it, bounce your brush on the bottom, wipe it, dip in the second cup, wipe it, and then the third cup, your paintbrush should be clean, and you'll have clean water there if you want to pick up clean water to mix your paints. You've got brushes that I think are fun. They're called travel brushes. They slip over the top. This is a size 8. This one is a 12. Things like this are nice to carry your art supplies in. And backing boards you can buy, or you can take like cardboard or foam core, and this just has contact paper laid over it. So later you can scrub it down. It's very lightweight. You can put it in your backpack, and you can cut it any size. We're going to start off with a paper that is, it's a student grade paper, so it doesn't matter if you mess it up or whatever. It's just cotton paper, and one side slick. We're going to use the side that has a surface, and it's called cold press. And so there's different ways to tape your paper. For this, I'd like you to just secure it, taking a piece of tape like this, roll it, and take a second one. So on the slick side, roll it and put it like that. Okay, what I'd like you to do is take the black pen, and this is permanent ink, Sharpie, and the reason I'm using permanent ink on this is because it won't bleed when you touch watercolor to it. This is just a warm-up, okay? So what I want you to do is somewhere on here, this is just to get you kind of more relaxed. In fact, I'd like you to just stand up a minute. Put the pen down. Both of you look pretty tense. A lot going on. So what I'd like you to do is just bounce a little bit, drop your shoulders, and roll them back, roll them forward, link your arms, and just pull up. Oh yeah. And just do some light. I don't want you to strain yourself, but just kind of loosen up. You've written your intent of why you're here, so let's use that to just use this time to forget about anything else in your life. What I want you to do now is just sit up straight, put your feet flat on the floor, and I want you to take your pen, pick a spot that you think you would like to write your name, and just in your regular way, somewhere on here, just write your name. I want you to take your pen into your other hand. And somewhere around here, I want you to write your name again with your left hand, or your uncomfortable hand, the opposite hand that you usually use. And I want you to somehow write it vertically, like if you're writing it from top to bottom. Your name backwards, starting with the last letter going forward, the whole thing, write it like a backwards. and make a border with your name really quickly. Now, the reason we did this is because it really doesn't matter. We just kind of want to, that we're playing. We're playing with your name. We're going to play with the paints now. One thing you have to know, and we're going to start with the yellow. When you're mixing, let's see, I'm going to put this so that we mix. You've got the three containers of water. You take a little bit of water on your brush and touch an area on your palette. Okay, that's where we're going to mix yellow. Yellow is the weakest of the triad. And I just want to show you the strength of yellow. So pick up a little yellow. I just squirted them in so they're soft. You don't need a lot of it. Put it on that water and swirl it. And what I'd like you to do is take the name that you like that you did the best and go ahead and put a circle around it. See 3 shades of yellow, 3 shades of blue, 3 shades of red. And that's because you can make orange and purple and green, okay? So I've picked a triad, they call it, of 3 colors, just to make it easier for you for color choices. And this triad is aureolin, cerulean, and permanent rose. It doesn't matter, all of them are beautiful. You know, it doesn't matter if you use your left hand, your right hand, go fast, go slow. Now you're more relaxed. Okay? Now what I wanted to show you is there's different ways to spread the paint on the paper. Wherever you put water and how much water you put is going to determine how much where your paint goes. Put a little water there and come up and touch that yellow. And then I can go back into the yellow on my palette and pick it up. If I need more, I could touch more yellow. Now where I touch the water spot, it's going to run because watercolor runs. And if you tip your paper like this, you'll see that you can make it run in different directions by tipping the water. And it won't go anywhere that there's not water. It'll stop at the edges. To take that a little further, rinse on the dirty, tip the edge, rinse on the middle, pick up a little bit of clean water, drop a little more water around there, see if you can make it move to where the water is. All I'm doing is picking up water and moving it around. Now, do you see how when there's more water, it moves faster? When you have more water on there, the paint moves faster. That's what I want you to see. The more water, the more it'll move. The less water, the less it moves. If it's on dry paper on your circle, it didn't move at all. So play around with yellow. You see how it's working with the water? The water will control it. The water controls it more than you do. So you have to be able to work with the water. And that's what a lot of people can't give up, that control, so they don't like watercolor. So it doesn't bother me. I just get a kick out of it when I think I've got it just how I want it, and all of a sudden it goes zipping off down somewhere where I put water that I forgot about. And every yellow will have a value that's as dark as that color will ever get. This one is aureolin, and it's sort of more toward the greenish side of yellow. That's the darkest yellow I can find. This is New Gamboge. That's as dark as yellow will ever get. So compared, say, to this dark black, it's not very high value. It's a light value. So that's why a lot of people start their watercolors with yellow, because a success if you start from light, like white. We save the white. You save the white you might want later. Never fill it in. And then the next lightest value of inherent value of the colors is yellow, and there are lots of yellows. We're using aureolin today. Okay, so red watercolors, you work from light to dark ordinarily. Many times I've worked from dark to light and bend the rules because you can do whatever you want when you're painting. So we're going to go to the next one, which the one we're using today is labeled for you, cerulean. So rinse the yellow off the middle and then rinse off. And then, oh, you have a, go ahead and take a Kleenex out, and I can check my brush with that. And yellow will always be the weakest of the basic red primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. The second weakest color of the primaries, red, yellow, blue, from which we can make any other color. And by the way, the reason for that is because red, yellow, and blue come directly from the rocks, and then you can't make a red, you can't make a yellow, you can't make a blue. Oh. But when you mix them, you can mix together to get all the others. Now they're doing synthetic things, so I don't know, they're playing around with dyes and stuff. But red, yellow, and blue are the ones that come right from the earth. I know it doesn't have yellow on it now, for one. And I also can keep that in my other hand, so if I all of a sudden realize, oh my gosh, I got too much water on my brush, I can just touch it to there and get the water a little bit off the tip. And here, I'll show you if that's confusing to you. We're using red, yellow, blue. Yellow is the lightest inherent value, and we're now doing the blue. Blue can either go to violet or green. And the violet that we're going to make today would be more of a muted violet. If we used a different blue that has more reds, more toward the red side, it would have a brighter violet. Yeah, this blue and yellow both make a stronger green. And we're going to move to blue, which is cerulean. So in another container on your mixing tray, take a little water, and then take that cerulean that has the green label by it. And cerulean is, it'll make a nice bright green. It makes a dull purple. So just this triad, that's the way this is going to work. You won't have as vibrant a purple, but you'll have a more vibrant green and green. Because purple can either go toward, blue can either go toward purple or toward green. Another way to get the water out without losing all the paint on the end is to tip your brush off and squeeze the bottom. And then you don't lose all the paint. That's just a wet yellow would run into the wet yellow and make a green. Now, since that yellow, if you tip your paper, you'll see where the yellow is dry and where the yellow is green. So on mine, you see this is, well, it's damp, but this is really dry here. So now this is the next strongest, weakest color. So we're going to do a couple things with it. I want you to find an area that's white and put the blue on it. Make a shape or just put it on there, it doesn't have to be anything. Now we're going to do the same thing we did with the yellow. Rinse your brush, pick up a little bit of water and put it next to where that's wet, right? Put it on the dry and bring it over and just touch the blue, and you'll see it'll run into that wet blue. See it's running in? If I tip it back, it's going to run into the water I just put there. Now, I can keep moving it with no trouble as long as there's a sheen on it. When the sheen goes away, it's going to run back. You see the sheen is not on this blue anymore? Right. So it's going to leave a little, we call them rosettes or backwash. It's going to leave a little darker blue line where the wetter blue hits the drier blue. And you'll see that it's used a lot in watercolors because it makes your stuff look cool. But you don't have a lot of control over it. You have some control. There's a couple ways to tell if it's still wet. Your paper will bubble a little bit. It'll be shiny like that. And you can use the back of your hand and touch it, and it'll be cold if it's wet. It's cold. So those are the three ways you can see if your other paint is dry or not. Take some out of your palette, and I want you to get the darkest blue you can get. That would be less water. And if you need to get water off your brush, go ahead and take your napkin, your Kleenex or your paper towel, and get some water off and try to get that as dark a blue as you can. And inherently, that's the darkest, that's this Winsor Newton cerulean blue will ever go. Now if it dries and I put another layer of cerulean blue on it, I can kind of make it go darker and darker. So start with your weaker color and bring it over. Now to take that back to a lighter yellow would be hard, but it's easy to get it into a darker blue. So the red we're using today is permanent rose. So you take red and put it over here on your palette, and then find a little area to put your red. Do that, add the water next to it, and practice running it. And try to make the lightest red you can and the darkest red you can. Now to make it lighter, you have to add more water over here. And this permanent rose is way onto the pink side, which has got a bit of bluish color with it. So if I were going to mix the yellow and blue to make green, I would start with the yellow because it's the weaker one. Just fun. We could really spend an hour just doing what we're doing now. I have spent an hour doing this, just like you're doing, and we'll keep coming back to this and playing with it. Anytime you mix two colors together, two of them together, it'll be fresh, bright, and wonderful. Anytime you throw in the third color, you're going to get a gray, a grayed out. And that's how we make our grays and our browns, the neutrals. It'll neutralize it. Anytime you mix a red and yellow together, you're going to get a bright orange of some sort, a red orange or a yellow orange. If you have any touch of blue in it, then it's going to be neutralized and it'll be a gray or a brown. And when you mix the red and the blue together, you'll always get these beautiful violets, either a red purple or a blue purple. Anytime you touch the yellow or get even a dab of yellow in it, it will neutralize it and make a gray. And it's very important to know how to make that because grays are really important in watercolor. Because watercolors are all about contrast. Light to dark, rough to smooth, gray to bright. Those are the things that make the watercolors pop. Okay, we're back. We've explored that how light and how dark you can get three different colors in the triad that we're using, red, yellow, and blue. Now we want to mix them a little bit, and we're mixing them just for fun. So take your brush. If you're going to mix a green, I already told you, you start with the yellow first and then the green. You can either mix on your palette or on the paper. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is mixing these colors so that you can really get a chance to, when we go to the mandala, use these three and see the range it'll do. We're going to start by trying to mix just two of the colors together, not all three. So if you're mixing green, don't get over here to the red side at the moment. Okay? So you would mix these two together here or in one area down here. This is just for you to know what's going to happen when you later get to do your mandalas. So we won't spend too much time, but mixing the greens, put your yellow first, and if you have blue there already, just bring it over. And a lot of times I will go ahead and touch without rinsing. That's okay, so don't worry about that. And there's your greens. You can do the green right on top of yellow or blue, and it'll still be bright. If you mix your green on top of red, it's going to look bright. You can go ahead and try it if you want. So here, my green on top of the red. Go ahead and do it. You might as well prove it to yourself. And now the red's on my brush, so I have to get that off my brush if I want a bright green. So don't try it. You'll never get back now to a bright green with that red on your brush. Now if you want a bluer, you add a little more blue to it for a blue-green. And you want it even bluer than that, add a little more blue to it. Or you can add straight blue right onto the page, which is a pretty reddish gray. Anytime you get over to the reds, you're going to get a reddish gray. Oranges. So I need a fresh yellow because I've got green there. I can either make a fresh one or you can take your Kleenex and you can just wipe that off of your tray if you're running out of room. Just touch it in the water and clean your tray. Now I can come over here where I have reds, and anytime I put these right on top of the red that's there or the yellow that's there, I'm getting nice bright. Okay? And you can play around with how brush strokes now too if you want, or mix it. So now I'm gonna make orange. Rinse your brush. Orange is made from yellow and red. Yellow and red. Which is stronger?
Yellow. Oh, red.
So what do I start with? You're thinking what to start with.
Right.
What do you start with?
Yellow.
Yellow. So start with your yellow because it's the weaker one. And barely touch the red and bring it over on the edge. If I stick it right in the middle, I have to make enough to make the whole thing go. But if I work on the edge of my thing, I can now, on this side I have a yellow orange, and on this side I have a red orange. Pre-mixed for me. Since we used the yellow and the red here, what happens if you add any blue to it?
Neutralizes.
Neutralizes and grays. So try it. Go over here where your blue is, put it on there, and you see the difference.
Oh, you guys are good.
You can just see the nice gray color it'll give you.
What are you writing on that?
And now,
Whatever you want, your name. You want me to sign it? Anything you want.
okay. Yeah, I love this triad. I have a couple favorite triads, and this is my latest favorite. And rinse your brush. And the purple is made from, here's violet. It's blue and red. Which one is weakest?
Blue.
Blue. So you start with your blue. So put your blue down. And remember I told you that this blue is a bit more of a yellowy blue. So since yellow's the third color of the triad, your purple is going to be a little bit of a muted purple. So then you pick up your permanent rose. Ooh, now put permanent rose in a separate thing because if I just put it right into the blue, that blue would totally disappear. It would just be red, and I'm looking for purple. So I put my red over there, and then this blue is much weaker than that red. So it takes very little of that red to make it turn purple. So if you want it to be a reddish purple, you go toward the red. If you want it to be a bluey purple, go toward the blues. Okay? And then you can play on here, either on your reds or your blues, and get nice crisp purples.
How you doing, Jorge?
Or if you go on the greens or the yellows, you're going to get a dull purple, a neutralized purple. The one thing about this triad, it will never give you very dark colors because inherently this is about, you saw that's as dark as these will go, so it's a little harder getting a dark color, but that's okay, these will be bright and fun. Now we're going to set this aside because I want to introduce you to the mandalas. Now there's a little problem with the, sorry, you're going to have to
get into your space with the TV.
To tape it down all the way around. It doesn't buckle as much. Take it like this, and it's going to go here, and then you're saving room at the top here for the roll. There's two sides. They'll both work. I prefer to use the smoother one, which is this one. I don't know if you can tell me. Decide how much you want of a margin. That'll be a white frame. And then take it like this, line it up and down, and then rip it off. There it is. Then you take it, line up this side, and kind of you can see through the tape to see how it's kind of straight. Well, art is, that's why we do art. No two will look alike. Even, like, I do them a lot, and then I save them and look at them, and you can see it. You can learn a lot about yourself.
Really?
Yes, mandalas are really a great way. I had a friend that did one every day for like 30 days. Little ones in her sketchbook, and then she flipped through them. She did them with marker. I used to do them in the mornings before I went to work. Just small things with my watercolors, and you learn more about yourself, like why I did this, and you see similarities through them, and you see differences. I don't know. Is mandalas or a circle? So if you like it an exact circle, you can take this. Suppose now I had this on, and put a color there that's
Okay.
wet. Just add a color somewhere that's wet. And I want to go right next to it. Now, since I have blue there, I'll go ahead and add blue. If I want to go right next to it without running, I have to leave a little bit of a white line. You see that? It didn't run. Any place I will touch it, it will run in there. So make a little wet area and try to come close to it without having it go in. And if it does go in, don't get mad. Just let it go in. That's why I say sometimes we don't have as much control as we want. So, but there are some parameters, and the one will be when you're finished, you'll know when you're finished. You can go walk outside, you can go watch TV, but I'm going to do one too. I love doing them. Let the person who's still working work without being interrupted. And we're going to get into a relaxed. Okay, so I'm going to do the meditation, and then I want to show you a few symbols that might help you know where to start. We're going to start in the middle of the mandala with a shape. And these are shapes that I found in this book I have. It's called Sacred Geometry. And I put some of the shapes here that she uses to start, either circles, these, and then you can evolve them into more complicated things. I think you'll learn a lot just while you're playing with your mandala. And if you want to play over here testing colors, you can test here or here. If you want a shape, say I wanted to do a triangle here. I make the triangle first, then I can come inside it and fill it in. When you apply, you touch and push and pull toward you or pull sideways. So if I wanted to come right next to this without going into it, I would mix my color, I would come right by it and pull, rather than saying, oh, I want this here, tap, 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 rather than being like, going like that. You don't have so much control. So if the side of your brush is where you have the most control. So you can go either way, but touch, and the side of your brush makes that line. And then you can go back and forth like this and fill it in. But where you want it exact, that side of your brush is where you get it exact. If you don't want it to run, don't touch a wet spot. You know, leave a little dry space between. So take whatever amount of time you need and use these tools of meditation tools. I'll put them right here if you want to. So let me get you into the meditation. I'm going to give you some ideas in the meditation. You don't have to use them. And the idea is you can feel inside or outside of the circle. And once you get going, you make a shape and then you react to that shape. Okay? And I'll talk a little bit about it. And then you're going to be on your own. Remember I said you don't disturb others. We'll allow about 20 minutes. So however long it takes you doesn't matter. Okay.